Hey everyone, and welcome back to another episode of Student Success Shorts with SI. This video was developed by the Supplemental Instruction program at the University of Texas at San Antonio. In today's episode, we'll be discussing note-taking. We'll understand why taking notes is important, discuss different note-taking strategies, talk about their advantages and disadvantages, and where to use each strategy. Note-taking is important for a number of reasons. When we take notes, we have record of important information. We actively engage in material which helps us better understand it. Note-taking also supports our long-term memory, enforces organization, and helps us when we are brainstorming ideas. Knowing this information, though, isn't helpful unless you know how to effectively take notes. There are 4 different strategies that can be used when taking notes: Cornell, mapping, chart, and outlining. The first one we'll discuss is the Cornell method. Cornell notes involves dividing your sheet into 2 columns, making sure to leave about 2 inches of space at the bottom for writing. The right column is where you'll take your notes. It'll help to leave space between each main idea. This will allow you to add to your notes when you revisit them later. The left column is where you'll write down keywords, brief descriptions, or questions that relate to the main ideas in the right column. Cornell notes are useful because they can be organized as you need them to be. The information is separated by main ideas and supporting details, and the separation allows you to cover 1 column at a time to test your knowledge. While this method is great for a lot of courses, it can get difficult organizing your notes when formulas and equations are involved. In summary, Cornell notes are a note-taking strategy that involves organization and makes writing and reviewing notes convenient when used appropriately. The next strategy is the mapping method. This technique involves relating facts from lectures to each other in a graphic representation. This could be done using a tree diagram or a bubble map like the one we're using in this example. This method is great for lectures that cover lots of interrelated material, so you're able to see relationships and visually track the information in your notes. Like Cornell notes, mapping may be difficult to use when dealing with formulas and equations, and it may be difficult to organize your map during lecture, so it's probably more useful connecting information afterwards. With the chart method, you make columns to represent each important category of information. Rows can also be added to show relationships in material. This method is beneficial because it forces you to summarize the material and allows for the entire content of a lecture to be on 1 page of notes. It works well for lectures with many facts, dates, and relationships, but also works well for formulas and equations. A few takeaways from the chart method is that it requires preparation before class to maximize organization, and you must have a strong understanding of the content to organize it appropriately. Our final strategy is the outlining method. This is the most common and natural of all methods. It involves listening to the material and writing key points in a logical pattern or order. Major points will be placed farthest left. As your points get more specific, you will indent to the right. Advantages of this method are that it not only records content, but it also shows any existing relationships in the material. It also allows for easy study by turning main points into questions. However, outlining isn't great for fast-paced lectures, and it requires more thought for accurate organization. As we've seen, each strategy has its benefits, and we can use any of the 4 methods to satisfy our learning needs when taking notes. Not only does each note-taking strategy support different types of learning styles, which we discussed in our previous episode, but they also support different types of environments and courses. For instance, since the Cornell Notes method organizes and separates your notes into main ideas and details, they're helpful in courses that cover a lot of detailed information rather quickly. Mapping is unique in its own way, because while it requires organization for understanding and works well for heavy, well-organized lectures, it can also be effectively used when you don't know how the lecture will be presented. This is because mapping groups information by relationships. So even if at first your map is not well organized, related ideas will surround each other and specific details will be attached to their main ideas. Since charts organize information into main ideas and show relationships, you'll want to use charts when your content is focused on facts and relationships. Charts are also helpful when the content is heavy and fast-paced, as your notes will fall into its appropriate space. Finally, the outline format can be used in slow to moderate paced courses, leaving enough time throughout the lecture to make organization decisions. Additionally, this format can be used when the information is already being presented in an outlined format. This can be a lecture where a major point is introduced and minor points follow for support, or the opposite when minor points build to one main idea. So let's recap. Today we discussed note-taking, why it's important, different strategies, their advantages and disadvantages, and where to use them. We learned that there isn't a particular note-taking strategy that works best for all courses, but that we can adapt our note-taking strategies when needed to best meet the needs of our learning experience. For those who are unfamiliar with UTSA's SI program, we focus on meeting student needs by providing weekly study sessions to students enrolled in historically difficult courses at UTSA. Participation is voluntary, but students that attend regularly tend to average at least a half-letter grade higher than their classmates that do not. SI sessions are led by students that have successfully completed the course and are trained to facilitate collaborative study sessions. For more information, contact us. And thanks for tuning in to Student Success Shorts with SI.